This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. We're glad to have you with us. Our first guest is the leader of the Arkansas State Senate, Senator Jonathan Dismang. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being with us.
Yes, sir.
All right, the governor, he wants to do tax reform. One of your senators, Bart Hester, says it's got to be north of $100 million. The governor has not been that specific yet.
Right.
What's doable?
Well, I mean, I think at this point we really don't know what's doable. What we have to do is get the budgets in front of us, or the budget in front of us that the governor's going to present, make sure that there's room within that budget and the revenue that will be coming into the state, and then figure out what the tax cut needs to be. On top of that, we've got to make sure there's a commitment from the members to make cuts if needed to that budget to allow for those additional future tax cuts.
But you've been doing this for a while. I mean, you have some sort of ballpark in mind. I mean, or is there a minimum that you think that it doesn't make sense to do tax cuts because it's not going to be meaningful enough?
No, I don't think so at this point. And really, just from doing it for a while, I would say that we're still pretty early on being able to determine what that number should be. There's a lot of requests for additional, expenditures out there, whether it be the state pay plan, which needs to happen, and some other items that the governor's presented. But really, we're just not in the process or a point in time right now you could, stick a figure on and say this is what we're going to cut taxes by next year.
So no promises. Are there some discussions that are going on right now in terms of what the mechanism or the formula might be for that it might be tied to something else? I can tell you I hear a lot of backroom chatter, and
Right.
I think there's a lot of ideas that are floating. Do you think it's just going to be a straight something that you've done in the past if the money's there to do it, or do you think you might look at some creative ways?
Right, and I've heard those conversations about maybe setting some triggers in place based on the revenue that's coming into the state. Those are all things worth looking at, but we want to make sure when we cut taxes that it's predictable and reliable for those that are going to make business decisions based on those tax cuts, whether it even be for a business or for a family. And so I'm hesitant to do that and just put triggers in place, but again, we'll have the discussion.
All right, let's talk about a couple things that are else out there. You are one of the 87 legislators who's gone on the record as being opposed to the casino proposed amendment that is out there. What's the root of your opposition?
I mean, there's multiple reasons, I think, to be opposed to this particular item. First and foremost, I think, is local control. I mean, I think we need to find out inside those communities, do they really want a casino there? We all know, and I think studies show, that there's an increased crime and an increased intensity needed for a police force, and are they ready and able to take up the challenge that's going to be there for that? I think second to that, you have to look at the fact we're looking to place corporations in our state constitution. I think that's a terrible precedent, and one we really need to take a look at when we're going in this next session. I also say, just even from the legislative referred to the ones that are referred by the people, or even if we had a convention, I think we need to look at that process and how easy it is for folks to really buy their way into changing our state's constitution.
So if the will of the people, though, is up there for it, you're fine with it. You move on from there, right?
Well, I think we have to. Now, if it's passed by the people, we'll work in the confines of the law, the way that it's written, and we'll do the very best we can with it.
Medical marijuana. I hadn't heard your position on that one yet. Where are you on medical marijuana?
Opposed to both measures. I think one is written more tightly than the other. Relatively speaking to the homegrown, and the fact that it allows so many different cases of issues for the utilization of marijuana or that prescription.
Do you buy the workforce argument there that some of the business community has been making, and that it's going to complicate things? Because if you look at other states, they're regulating it like you would other medicines.
Right. And I've talked to some pro tems in other states, and there is an issue there. With utilization of the drug and what that means for the next day, and being able to figure out if people, are using and at what time they're using. So, I think it's absolutely a business issue, especially for those industries that folks are operating heavy equipment, machinery, factories, and that sort of thing.
All right, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to answer this last question, and you got to tell me why here. So I'm gonna give you a couple of hashtags. Are you in the Trump category? Are you in the never Trump category? Are you in our friend John Burris's probably not Trump category, or are you I'm with her?
Okay, well, I think we can slide some of those off the table.
Okay.
I'm not with her, I'm say that Trump was not my choice for the nomination. But again, ultimately, when I go cast my ballot, I'll be casting it for him. But again, I think we need to really look deep this next time when we're nominating
No pause
president.
for concern with some of the things that have happened post-debate?
I think there's absolutely a reason to have pause for concern, and really the way he handles himself in a number of different instances. But again, I think at this point, that's where I'm headed.
All right. Senator Jonathan Dismang, as always, thanks for being with us.